Hi, my name is Alex, and today I'm going to talk about some different disabilities and differences. And the point of this video is to just kind of promote awareness so that everyone gets a little bit of a better understanding about some different disabilities. I'm going to have a few interviews with a couple individuals who can tell you personally their experiences. And I hope by the end of this, you can come to understand that disabilities don't really impede life as much as we think they do. They can actually make life more fulfilling and rich. And these experiences are just mainly differences, not really deficiencies in any way. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you learn a little bit something from it.
Hi, I'm Clarissa Rose, and I have bipolar 1. And basically, bipolar 1 is a mental disorder where you suffer from extreme mania and then extreme depressive episodes. I like to describe it basically, I feel every emotion extremely intensely. What's the word?
Hi, I'm Jennifer. Alex is interviewing me about deaf people because my parents are deaf, and so I kind of know what it's like to grow up with deaf people. So basically, as far as deafness goes, there's like different types. If you're deaf, it practically means that you can't really hear at all. And then there's also hard of hearing, which means you can hear like partially, either high sounds, low sounds, whatever. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Clarissa Rose again, and I'm here to talk about autism because I have a close relationship with it because my older brother Nicholas has it. Autism is a little hard to describe because it is a spectrum disorder. My brother is on the almost most severe side of it. He is unable to talk. He can't understand other people's emotions. I don't even think he understands his own. He can't count. He's basically severely debilitated in most aspects of his life. He lives in a facility under 24/7 care, but he can still show some emotions.
Hi, I'm Annabeth. I have ADHD. I'm supposed to say I want to talk about? I've already forgotten. The setting's a bit different just because I wanted to show you, I guess, the difference of when I'm on versus when I'm off medication. So ADHD is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. The symptoms tend to include attention problems, obviously hyperactivity, and just overall like impulsiveness, I suppose.
Hi, I'm Shelton Stewart. I once had a physical disability after a rock climbing accident this past summer. I was in a wheelchair for around 4 months. After the fall, I broke my hip and 6 ribs and 9 parts of my back, and had to have a back brace and had like trouble walking. Was on a walker after I got out of the wheelchair, and just recently recovered, and I'm kind of getting back to normal, but it's been a slow recovery, but pretty good. And still have some like residual pain from it, but other than that, I'm doing a lot better.
Now, if you can just explain how you think it might be different, like having the short-term physical disability compared to like someone who's in a wheelchair full-time.
Well, just even like getting to like I had finals at that time, and like even thinking about like scheduling getting to like campus and stuff like that, and like finding like disability accessible like parking, and finding like the on-ramps for the different buildings, and working out times for professors if I wasn't able to make it like on time, or like, you know, like my like disability was giving me a certain trouble that day or something like that, or I couldn't get a ride to campus. And so like a lot of things like academically gave me a lot of trouble, but I think like there would be more trouble like socially, in that like you don't have a lot that you do have access to, and the things that you do have access to, you tend to like overstimulate yourself in.
Okay.
I think the most classic misconceptions are when I tell people, they immediately start to tiptoe around me, like I'm gonna explode on them, or just like I feel like the first thing a lot of people do is they relate it to something, like they're like, oh, my great aunt has that, or like my next door neighbor growing up has that, and it's like, that's really cool, but I'm an individual, and like that, it almost feels like they try to make it a part of who I am, which it ultimately is, but it's not something I want to like be recognized for.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's something we've talked about in class, which is cool.
Like, yes, I am bipolar, but it's not me.
Yeah, that's
You know?
one of the main like things we talked about. Like,
Some people like to own it a ton, though.
Mhm.
It's their own
It's
personal
like-
preference.
yeah, I think she was saying like usually don't assume they
Yeah.
want to be identified as that. Like, it's the part of them unless they tell you.
Mm-hmm. That's definitely the same thing.
Yeah.
Some common misconceptions about like deaf people and like deaf culture is that like one is sign language being universal. There's like different sign languages depending on where you're from. Like even within the US, like each state has its own like different variations of a certain sign. There's also this like thing where people think that deaf people can't drive because they can't hear. Deaf people can definitely drive. They might not be able to hear sirens or anything, but they can definitely see like lights and stuff from like other cars. A lot of people view deafness as like a disability, and they think that like if you're deaf, you can't talk, you can't drive, basically can't function.
Some common misconceptions of autism. The most common is probably vaccines cause autism, which is hilarious because there's absolutely no evidence that proves that that is the case, and it's not the case. And there is no proof of anything that causes it. We don't know what causes it. Hopefully we'll find out one day, but with all the money we put into it so far, we don't know. Another misconception is that someone said this, it's not my quote, but if you met one autistic person, you've just met one. It is a spectrum disorder. You can live a perfectly normal, happy life with autism. It's not necessarily a bad thing. For my brother, it is a bad thing. He doesn't live a great quality of life, but some people can live completely normal, happy lives.
I think people tend to have this idea that people with ADHD are just like go, like jumping from thought to thought, which like sometimes that can be the case, but a lot of the time it's more so like nothing is really going on in your head. You're just kind of like blank. No matter how hard you try though, you can't really turn the focus on. A lot of people don't really think that it exists, or that it's just like almost used as an excuse for poor grades. Especially when I was younger, I feel like it was more seen as a lack of intelligence, so to say, than it is now. Nowadays, I feel like people are more understanding with it, and also I feel like people are more accepting of it than they used to be.
That you want to do less than you were doing, or like personally, like than I was doing before, or that you want to do less than like somebody with like a completely able-bodied, and I think that's just like a misconception because like they see you as different, and so they think like you're wanting to like act different socially, or like engage different socially, or not as much in that case.
Yeah. Do you think that translates to like people who have permanent physical disabilities as well?
Yeah, for sure. Like, you know, you find yourself like not getting invited places that are hard to like have like get access to, or hang out in certain places instead of like going with the group to like, you know, like the upstairs or something like that, or not accessible place, right?
Yeah. Okay, cool.
What I want people who have it, like who have bipolar 1, to realize is that they should never be ashamed of taking medication, because your brain has a chemical imbalance. You need chemicals to balance them, and you can do that with medication, and you should never be embarrassed of that, because it's rare that someone has a balanced brain. And then for people who don't have it and don't know anything about it, it doesn't really change the person at all. Most of the time they have a grip on it, especially around like our age. People are really finding themselves in mental stability, especially in our climate right now. There's so many resources for us to use, and I really just don't want it associated with who I am, and I feel like a lot of people who have this don't want it associated with them. It's just a thing that they have.
I don't really know. Just realize that I guess deaf people are just like hearing people. There's not really much differences. Don't get uncomfortable about like the speech barrier. They are not judgmental or anything. Like just try talking to them. They'll help you through it. I don't know. They're nice people. Like
Yeah. And then this isn't a question on here, but one of our extra credit assignments was to actually go to Crepe Crazy. And your mom works there, doesn't she?
not anymore. She used to.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, they have one in South Austin, and then they have the Dripping one. Dripping just had their 5-year anniversary,
That's exciting.
and they had like $5 crepes.
Oh,
So, kind of missed that. That would
Yeah.
have been a good day to go.
if you want
It
to talk
was raining that day.
yeah. If you can talk about your mom working there for just like a second, or really anything about it, just because
I
I thought
worked
it'd
there
be. Oh, you did?
for a little bit. I helped out.
Oh, that's cool. I always saw your mom there when I went.
Yeah, my mom worked a lot. She worked at Crepe Crazy, the Dripping Springs one, which was the first one to open. Around the time it started for at least like 3 years, and basically like I helped out there too. It was a fun place. Everyone was nice. Basically they just made the crepes, ordered food and everything. They have like a huge menu on the counter. So like if you go up to order and you don't know any sign language, you can just point out what you want. They'll understand what you want. They bring out your food. Everyone who works there is deaf. They all sign when they're taking orders. They do phone orders. When they do phone orders, they have a VP, which is a video phone, and they have an interpreter through the video screen that like signs them what the person on the other end of the phone call is ordering. So
That was really cool. And then, what do you want more people to realize about this difference?
I guess what I would want people to realize is that it's not a joke. Don't call your friends autistic. That's pretty offensive because it is a struggle for some people. Some people it's not, but your friends could even have it and you don't know because some people can be so high functioning. And then, once again, just we don't know what causes it, so don't spread false information like that vaccines cause it.
I want more people, I suppose, to realize that just because you have attention problems does not instantly mean that you have ADHD. Look into it more and like really take time to, I don't know what to think about whether or not you actually have it before you go and get a prescription. I guess I just want people to look more into what the symptoms really are and not just assume that it's only being able to study.
Just like understanding like the situation you're in and making sure that like your surroundings are accommodated, and if they're not accommodated, making sure that you like point out that that's not accommodating to like all people, you know, because like I think that's where like it has trouble, because like people who have that disability find it like almost like overwhelming to point out every inaccessible like thing they run into, because it gets like there's too many in one day, you know, like now like that are like troubling, and so you just kind of like come numb to them and you just don't mention them, and like so like for your peers to mention them, it's like really important.